I'd like to personally thank you for coming all the way out here. I know it must have been something for you. I hope you didn't get too lost on your way over. For some reason, I couldn't find my voice. I only shook my head. That's good. Look here, why don't you swing your car around the side? I'll go get my people to help you get your stuff settled in. You don't have to lift a finger, understand? He gestured to the right side of the building. I nodded, and I drove around as instructed and parked. Before I could even evacuate my vehicle, I jumped when I stared ahead. There was a man standing in front. I hadn't even seen him approach. I couldn't lie. He was much younger than the Reverend, but clearly older than me. He had slick back hair combed over to the side and wore a dark vest resting over a white button top with gray dress pants. He gave a slight wave while approaching my car. I exited and was greeted with a firm handshake. "Terrence, Crow," he said. His accent wasn't as strong as the Reverend's. "Welcome to Peachherb." I could tell his smile was forced. Even his eyes looked annoyed, but I thanked him. "You have any luggage on you?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. It's in the back." I unlocked the door. Before I could turn around, the man quickly swooped over to the passenger door and opened it. He pulled out both suitcases. He began making his way towards the front, gesturing with his head. "Y'all have to forgive my impatience. I was in the middle of something important before the Reverend had me pulled to assist you." "That's all right," I assured him. "I know the feeling. You'd be surprised how often my boss does that to me. I sometimes wonder if he actually wants me to get the job done." I joked, hoping to lighten the mood. He didn't laugh. I could hear his grunts as he struggled to carry the weight of my suitcases, occasionally swaying to the side. I felt guilty for letting him do so, but didn't want to impede on their hospitality. He led me around the front and through the double doors. I half expected to find the Reverend waiting for us with his grin, but he was nowhere to be seen. Inside, we came into what looked like a lobby area. It was much nicer than I expected, completely different from the outside appearance. Inside, the air was cold, borderline comfortable. Perhaps it was the hint of honey and sunflowers in the midst that made it bearable. The lobby was a simple room. Everything around held a calm pearl white. It was filled with a few tables and chairs up against the wall. A golden chandelier hung from the ceiling, giving the bland room a more elegant feel. A red carpet led from the entrance to a set of closed double doors ahead. 2 other doors sat on the left and right walls, both closed. The man led me inside, setting down the suitcases. He took a handkerchief from his vest pocket to wipe away the sweat from his brow. "This here's the lobby," he finally said, tucking the handkerchief back in his pocket. I chuckled to myself as if that wasn't obvious. "To the left," he continued, "you'll find that hallway leading to the dining area. To the right is a staircase leading to the living quarters. You'll all be staying in room 6. If you give me a minute, I'll fetch your keys." "And what about those?" I asked, gesturing to the main double door area. "Where do those lead to?" He glanced towards the doors, as if realizing their presence. "Oh, those lead to the congregation room, where we conduct our services. You'll find we conduct those on a daily basis." "Daily? Well, that's a bit much," I said jokingly. "Whatever happened to once a week?" Again, he didn't laugh. His face stern and solid. "Mr. Pale. Marcus Pale. Sorry, I never didn't introduce myself," I replied. "Right, Mr. Pale. This is a church. I'm sure where y'all come from once a week will suffice, but here, it is our life." He paused, peering into my eyes. "You do attend church, right?" My eyes must have truly given it away. He smiled, shaking his head. "You're not much of a religious man, are you, Mr. Pale?" The tone of his voice matched his face. I shrugged slightly, taking offbeat to the question. "No, I guess not," I answered. "I see. Please forgive me when I say this then, but maybe you should keep your mind open when you're on the job. That is the reason why you're here. Understand?" "Yeah, sure," I replied dryly. "Good. I'll be back with your keys." I just stood there. The nervous feeling I had earlier had subsided. Now what I felt was awkwardness. What was this guy's problem? There's no need for his rudeness. The pity I felt for him earlier was no longer present. Yet I shook it off, remembering that my boss said not to offend these people by any means. 5 minutes went by. Still found myself standing there. What was taking so long? He made it sound like the keys were right behind the door. My eyes began wandering, bouncing from one side of the room to the next, until finally settling on the double doors. They had a symbol, an emblem of some kind imprinted down the middle of them. Curious, I walked over to them to get a better look. The emblem on the white door was golden, almost looking imperial-like. It resembled a face. No, maybe it was a flower. It was surrounded with what appeared to be a wavering cloak of some kind. Did it have to do with their religion? Still curious, I glanced over to the door where the man had disappeared behind. Finally, I returned my eyes back to the double doors. They had fairly large bar handles, acting as the knobs. I was hesitant, but I slowly reached out to one of them, and when my hand made contact with it, I felt a hint of warmness. This was peculiar because the room was cold. So how was this likely? The handle felt as if some had held it just recently. Perhaps minutes ago. I jerked back on it, but the door didn't budge. I tried a few more times, but was unsuccessful. It was locked. I looked around to see if there was a keyhole. Maybe I could peek inside. Instead, I found a small indent next to the handle. The indent was no bigger than a quarter, maybe. Speed the lock? I looked closer to see that it had a similar design as the emblem engraved on the inside. Feeling defeated, I made my way over to one of the chairs and sat. Hopefully the man wouldn't be any longer. Probably for the best that it didn't open, though. My first day on the job, and I was already snooping around. I was actually glad the man didn't catch me attempting to break in like that. That stunt could have had my ass sent home, especially since he had already seemed to be an uptight jerk. If that had happened, my boss would have had a field day on me for blowing such a high-paying opportunity. The man eventually returned from the back with a large ring of keys in his hand. He hastily ushered me to follow, grabbing my luggage and proceeding to the door on the right. Just as he had mentioned, there was a staircase on the other side. The area appeared more on par with the outside appearance of the building, looking pale and decayed. Every step we took was followed by a long-winded creak. I was sure that at any moment they'd give out on either of us. But they never did. We reached the top and came to a long, dimly lit hallway with another red carpet. Except this was long enough to run to the end. The doors in the hallway appeared adjacent and parallel to each other. Electric candles illuminated the area from the walls in between the doors. The man led me halfway down before halting at the door on the right. "This is your room," he stated, unlocking the door. The door produced a loud creak as he opened. I braced myself, expecting to find a poorly conditioned room, but was met with an agreeable sight instead. It was similar in appearance to the lobby, plain with pearly white walls. A large king-size bed sat neatly near the window. Blanket and sheets and even a pillow were already provided. In the corner sat a sturdy wooden desk with a brass lamp on it. A tall bookshelf was leaning against the wall, empty of book, with a smaller dresser to its side. The room looked very comfortable. The thought of staying in it for a few days was very appealing. The man placed my luggage near the dresser. "You can put your clothes up in here. Breakfast is at 8, lunch is at 12, dinner's at 6, sharp," he stated, handing me a key from the ring. "You're welcome to wear whatever pleases you to the meals, and just make sure that you're not late. We don't start eating until everyone's present. 8, 12, 6, I repeated. "Got it." "By the way, Mr. Pale, I was interested to know how you propose to conduct your work without any of your supplies," he asked before leaving. I chuckled to myself. "Oh yeah, sorry. I forgot to mention all the equipment is in the trunk of my car." He gave me an unsettling glare and held out his hand. "Your car keys, please." I returned him an unassured look, but quickly handed them over when I saw his glare tighten. "I'll return your keys once I have acquired everything that y'all need from your car. The Reverend informed me that you don't need to conduct any work until tomorrow, so please enjoy the rest of your evening. And move your supplies into the office downstairs. You find the office after heading into the door on the left. It's on the way to the dining area. See you at dinner," he said, shutting the door behind me. With that, I was left alone once again. The quietness of the room left me with a dull, numbing sensation. For a second, I was lost in its trance until the moaning of the building from the wind awakened me. Once out of it, I turned my attention back to the room. Certainly, it must have been recently refurbished. I ran my fingers along the surface of the desk, and just from sight alone, I could tell its history dated back with the building. Even so, it felt like it truly belonged, despite its age. I made my way over to the window, looking below. I could see my car, but no sign of the man. I shrugged it off. He could take as long as he wanted, as long as he didn't break anything, I thought. I smirked at this and returned my attention back to inside. My eyes fell on the bookshelf. Although it was empty, several imprints from books could be seen in between the dust. The size of the imprints indicated they must have been fairly large books. Near the edge of the shelf, I could see dragging marks, as if someone had removed all the books, maybe in anger or perhaps in a hurry. That was probably done on purpose. I couldn't blame them. These people here seemed like the secretive type. They probably didn't want me looking through any of their texts. My eyes floated over to the bed. It looked very tempting. I wanted to just crash on it, but I knew I had to call my boss first. I promised him that I would inform him of any updates. Even though I hadn't started yet, I could at least inform him that I had arrived on time. I pulled out my phone. I checked the signal bar strength. It was hovering between 1 and none. This wasn't a surprise, considering where I was. I played around with its positioning, first raising it higher, then side to side. I had no luck, though. I even tried holding it closer to the window, but still was unsuccessful. It was possible that it was just the room blocking the signal. So I made my way out into the hallway, keeping my phone stretched out, with my eyes fixated on it. I moved around the hallway aimlessly, still changing its position. Eventually, I realized how pointless it was. I decided to see if I had better luck outside. I went downstairs into the lobby, checking my phone along the way, feeling the frustration building up. I aimlessly swung it around, threatening to just toss the useless junk. Without warning, I was thrown off by a loud scream. Following it came a voice that yelled out, "Hey, watch it!" I was stunned, almost jumping out of my skin. The voice belonged to a young woman, a quite attractive one to say the least. Her eyes, green, flared at me in anger. She had auburn hair that curled around her face and over her eyes. She wore what appeared to be a black and green Victorian-style dress. The most eye-catching part of her was she was pregnant. She had to be at least 8 months by how her stomach extended through her gown. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I stammered quickly. I was trying to find my signal. I wasn't getting any. Her glare softened and she smiled. She eventually let out a light giggle in my attempt to explain myself. Okay, it's fine. You're forgiven already, she said. Voice.